Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the welcome, Napping Ood, and thank you everyone for joining for another week of NapKim Math, where we see what chaos the Jokers have brought us in Balatro this week. Um, I am a little bit on the tired side because this week was a lot, so I do apologize in advance, but I am here, I am ready, and we will probably be coding a little bit more on vibes today than normal. I'm going to first take you through some of the stats that we've been compiling, tracking manually in Google Sheets, looking at some interesting analytics to try and tell the story of really right now what we've been doing so far. After that, we'll dive a little bit more into what I've been building, which is a mod for Balatro where I export the data into CSVs. I made a little bit of progress this week where we'll be able to look at some of the Joker information. It's still a work in progress because there are some things that I still need to identify, but I did want to show you what I have been working on this week. So feel free to say hello in the chat. Tell me a win for the week that you've had. I would love to hear it. Or you could just lurk. I'm actually a big lurker myself, so don't feel bad about doing that as well. Any wins for the week? I'm trying to think because I should probably say mine first before I ask other people. But I think one of my wins for the week is that I took care of myself and got some sleep when I needed it, and sometimes little wins like that is all you need. But I'm going to switch over to my browser, but feel free to let me know in the chat your win of the week or if there's anything else fun you'd like to chat about. So this, if you haven't been to NapKim Math before, this is where I'm tracking my Balatro data, and I have a couple different tabs. This main tab I show during my streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it just has the pertinent run information, like what deck we played, what stake, everything we unlocked, the seed, start and end time, most played hand, everything that you get at the end of the run in Balatro. I'm also going back and watching back everything, going and tracking like the round information. What were the boss blinds? What tags showed up? Did I play it? Did I skip it? Our ending round score and ending money. Track all the hands that we've played and the score that we get from them. What shows up in the shop. Mainly this is to track vouchers and rerolls, but then tie it to what jokers we purchase, when we modify them, when we sell them, all of that. Any consumables like planet cards, tarot cards, and spectral cards and what they affect. Keep track of the playing cards that we have and when they may change or get modified or get added. And then down to our poker hands when we level them up from planet cards, or we'll scroll down here because you can see we have Black Hole that upgrades every single poker hand, and Burnt Joker, which upgrades on a discard. So those are what I've been tracking. So we're going to pop into BigQuery and start playing around a little bit. If there's anything in particular you'd like me to look at, please let me know. And I do see we got a couple more viewers, so let me know if you had a win for the week. Would love to hear about it. Doesn't matter how small, how big. Want to hear that positivity, especially now that it's the weekend. But one of the first things that I thought about doing was really looking at what we've purchased. Ooh, you made progress on our garden. Very nice. Was that mulching or edging, planting certain things? I'm going to start typing out the starter code for what I want to do. I'm going to grab edging and mulching. Very nice. That is awesome. That's a lot of work and a big win. We're going to look at the consumables. So for those of you who haven't been here before, we did make views that kind of have a cleaned up version of what we have in our spreadsheet over here. And I'm going to look at our consumables, and we have our consumable name, which I'm going to do one thing in particular, where consumable name equals, and I believe it is the Wheel of Fortune. And there's a couple different ways I could do that, and I'm actually going to show you a different way because I've showed you how to find an exact match. So I'm going to use like to say I want to find something that is similar to what I'm typing here, and then I'm going to put in strings. I'm going to have a %sign first, and then I'm actually going to type it all lowercase, Wheel of Fortune, and then end it with a %sign. And what that says is that the string has to have Wheel of Fortune together like that, but you can have stuff before or you could have stuff after. So that helps you identify if there's like the in front of it like we saw, or if there's any extra spaces or things at the end. There are a couple different ways you can handle those, but this is one of the ways. Or if there's like a typo or Wheel of Fortunes for some reason. I did create this so there's a drop down, so I won't do that. But as you're building up your own data set, this is a good way to identify things that may have been typed differently. And because our consumable name is proper case, so Wheel and Fortune both have a capital W and a capital F, I'm actually going to put lower around consumable name, and that puts what is currently in my table all to lowercase. And that way, if there's mistypes, if it doesn't use proper case, if it used all uppercase, all lowercase, it puts it in a way where you can actually compare the two so they're, for the most part, exact, minus the fact that the like will look for that partial string. But you can't have anything in between these words here. And then I'm just going to pull back star. So that means everything. And that way we can first look what the output looks like. So there are 13 rows that we have with Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And we can see what runs it was used in, where it was first available. Usually that's a shop, but sometimes it would pop up like this is a skipped tag, or it could pop up in a hand if there's a blue seal that we discarded. When it was last available, so when it was used, the name, and how it was acquired. So that first one we had tag, hallucination actually created it for us during the middle of our shop when we opened a booster pack. Whether we used it or not, these are all used. And then the type of affected card and affected card booster will tell us when the Wheel of Fortune actually worked. So this can help us start to track how often it's actually being used and how often it's actually producing something. So we can first count one. Actually, let's do count distinct to show different ways of doing things. So that's saying count how many times we have a distinct value within our, let's do our run consumable ID, because that is definitely going to be different for every single use of our Wheel of Fortune. If we did first available, there is a possibility that if we got it in the same shop, so like down here, we actually got it twice in the same shop, it would show up. If you did count distinct, it would only count that once because those are not distinct or different values. But because this consumable ID takes into consideration the unique cards that you're playing, that's why we want to count the unique ones. And this is going to be as Wheel of Fortune tries. So that's just saying how many times we actually played the Wheel of Fortune. And now we can do the same thing. So we can copy our count distinct, run consumable ID, and then within here, I'm going to put an if. So we can only count it if something in particular happens. So if, and in this case, our type of affected card is not null. So that's saying if there's actually a value in there that's not null, so every time it's Joker. Actually, let's do a little bit more consistent. We'll say equals Joker. Then we're going to have my run consumable ID as the output. But if that's not the case, so if it is null, then we're going to bring back a null value. And then I'm going to close my parentheses so it will stop yelling at me down here. And you want to make sure that if you're counting distinct, you don't accidentally put in a new distinct value like 1 or 0. And so you actually want to make sure that you use null in this instance. So this says we can rename this as Wheel of Fortune Success. And let's see what pops out. So we've tried 13 times and we've been successful 3 times. So that is actually pretty close to 1 in 4. Hey Default, thank you so much for joining. We are looking at our Wheel of Fortune, how many times we played it, how many times we've actually gotten success. Oh no, I'm so sorry. It's okay. You had a fun stream that I was watching earlier and I appreciate it. Do you want to tell me about one of your wins of the week? I am trying to get people who want to chat to let me know how big, doesn't matter how big or how small, something that was a win of the week for them. Mine was that I got some of the rest that I needed because I was super tired and got adequate sleep a couple nights. Napping Ood said that he was making progress in our garden, edging and mulching. And so let me know if there's anything that was a win for you. So we can also, especially if finally began forming your LLC after having thought about it for years. Congratulations, that's awesome. That's a big step, and I know it's a pain to do. I've done it myself, and that is really awesome. Congratulations. Now, for those of you who don't want to do math in your head, let's create a percentage so you can see if it is close to that 25%. A basic corporate website that you have done nothing with yet. That is still great. That is progress towards achieving your goals. So, congrats to that as well. That is getting you moving forward with your LLC. That's awesome. Even though we do know that we're going to have a denominator, I'm still going to use safe divide because it's a best practice. And so you always put your numerator, so what our success was, over your denominator, which was how many times we actually tried. And I'm going to rename that as Wheel of Fortune Success %. And I'm also going to, this is getting to be a lot of words, so I'm going to format it to make it maybe a little bit easier to read. And I'm going to put round around it as well. Round around. How many times can I say round? And we're going to go to 4 decimal places because this is going to be a percent in the form of a decimal. So if we run that, we tried 13 times, had 3 successes, and that is 23.08%. So you just multiply this by 100 to get your percentage, which is, for having 13 tries, is as close as you can get to 1 in 4. However, we know that over time we may have stretches where we get a lot of successes and a lot of failures with this. So just remember that, because you're not going to get every 4 times you play it, you're not going to get a success one time. Those are the laws of math and Balatro, where it's nope season. All right, so we got that down. Let's look at some of our other card stats. And this is where I think I'm going to start with the jokers. So I'm going to select, and I'm going to put 1 as a placeholder so it won't yell at me as I'm typing out and tell me if I'm actually mistyping something. And I'm going to go with BQV Joker, so that's our cleaned up version of Joker. And actually, before I bring in that, I'm going to start with our Joker reference table, which has all of our jokers listed out and all of their information. And I'm going to rename that as ref. Yeah, the Joker cleaned up his act. Exactly. And I'm going to do a left join to our BQV Joker. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep our Joker reference list intact, and it will have nulls for times where we didn't actually have a Joker that we bought. So, like, for example, I haven't gotten any legendary Jokers playing in NapKim Math yet, and so Perkio will have a null when I look to see if we've actually played it. And I will say something right now, is that there will be a better way to do this once we get into some more complex SQL. But for now, I'm going to try to keep it basic and then work our way up. So even though there can be more than 1 row per Joker in what we played, I'll be able to clean it up in our select statement and using a couple of other things, so there's only 1 row per Joker. And then we have to say what we're joining on, and I'm going to open these up. If you press Command and then click on it, it'll bring it up right next to you instead of having to find it in here, open it up, and have it pop up next to you. So in Joker reference, the Joker name is going to be what we expect, and thankfully I was consistent with those, so we can use using, because they have the same column name, Joker name, and that will join the 2 together. So saying anytime the Joker names match, bring back the information from both of them. All right, so now I'll do it the easiest way, so we can have count distinct Joker name, because none of them have different names. Or sorry, none of them have the same name, so you won't have duplicates. And I'm going to do ref.jokername because I want to make sure that it's from the entire reference field. So we should get that the number that we all know should happen. And then let's see if we can count distinct joker.jokername. And we'll rename those. This is as total jokers. And this is as jokers purchased. And we can run this, and I'll close these up. So we have 150 total jokers, and we've purchased 76 of them, so just over half. So we can use something like this to help us track how close we are to getting completionist. And we can do the same thing with tarets, planet cards, spectral cards, vouchers, any of those as well. And let's see. I think another thing that we could look at with the jokers is, and this is where it's going to start to get a little bit complicated, is we can see how many we've actually unlocked out of the ones that you can unlock. Start. Sorry, I know this can be complicated. I know you probably understand it more than you think you do. But we're going to be taking our queries to the next level. I think we might do like something a little bit more complicated than we've been doing today, and then we'll probably hop over to what I've been working on in the mod. But don't worry, this is not scary. I'll take you through step by step, and it'll all be good. So I'm actually going to copy this over to a new tab, and instead of, actually, there's a couple different steps, but I'm going to keep this in here for now with select one, and I'm going to comment it out so it stays in here to make it a little bit easier. And we are going to do create a CTE, which is a common table expression, which allows you to create almost like a temp table in your code. Hi, Cats. Thank you so much for joining. I'm glad you're here. So CTEs are very useful, especially when you want to do some calculations first and then join it together with other things, or you have a lot of different tables you need to do a couple things to first before you join it all together or have your final output. And CTEs are very straightforward, and so I'm just going to walk you through it step by step. Yes, I did play Black Deck on Tuesday and got a win. And so on Thursday, played 2 games on the checker deck, one with white stake, one with red stake, and won both. It was a lot of fun. I got a crazy, crazy combo on red deck, white stake, where I got, I think, Hanging Chad, Photograph, Smiley Face, Sock and Buskin, like from really close to the start. So that game was smooth sailing. So to create our CTE, you start with and then create your CTE name. It can be anything you want. I'm going to call it Joker Unlock. So I'm going to create this that has within it all the jokers that we unlocked. And after you say with whatever you want to name it, that's going to end up being like a pseudo table name. You're going to have parentheses, and then you're going to put your query as normal. So I'm going to put select, I'm going to put 1 for now, and then BQV run from BQV run. And this is going to have my run information in there. Oh, and you also have to have an as up here. So with your CTE name as, and then you have your parentheses. See, sometimes yelling at me helps down here. But right now, because we don't have an output, it is yelling at me. But that's okay. We'll get to a working query in a minute. So in our run table, we have Joker name unlock here. So this is a list of all the Jokers we've unlocked. And so I'm going to put Joker name unlock where Joker name unlock is not null. I think that'll work for what we're doing. And I'm going to highlight this portion, and I can run just what I've highlighted so it can show me what it's going to output. And uh-oh, I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I wanted this to pop up. We have a comma-separated list of our Jokers that we have unlocked. Because we were putting it in the format where it had the drop-down, you could have more than one, it ends up outputting a comma-separated list, which is going to be a little bit hard to work with. So, and this is where I promise it's not scary, we're going to, let's see, we're going to split it first and say, look for a comma, and if there's a comma, split it. And I'm actually going to comment this part out right now so we can actually work with what is going to be within our CTE. And it will tell me if it's actually going to run instead of yelling at me. So, okay, it has all of them listed out, but you see here, row 1 has 4 things listed, and then it gets to row 2. And this is what is called an array. So they're all still stored technically in the same row, and we do have to do a little bit more to actually get it to work properly. And so I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a inner join, and I'm going to say I want to unnest my array. So take everything within my array and explode it out. And instead of putting our split up here, I'm just going to put it inside my unnest. And I need to copy the whole thing. And I'm going to rename that as unnested jokers. I'm going to put unnested jokers up here at the top. And I think it'll work with an inner join without actually having to do anything because Joker name unlock is a column within BQV run. So let's see what this produces. So now we do have 1 row per Joker, but if you notice, if you look at the details, which may be difficult to see, it looks like Showman, Oops All Sixes, and Driver's License have an extra space at the beginning. And that's because in our comma-separated list, there were actually spaces in there. So the last thing we need to do is we need to put trim, not Tim, trim around our nested jokers, and that takes the white space off the beginning and the end. And so we can have this as our unnested, or I'm going to call it unlocked jokers. So we can kind of follow all of the different parts of it. And huzzah! We have a list of all 25 jokers we've unlocked. So now what I want to do is I am going to wrap this back up in the CTE. So we can say with our Joker unlock table that we're temp table, but for all intents and purposes, a table of our list of unlocked Jokers. And then we're going to take our reference of our Jokers. I can delete this now, bring this up to the top. And I can left join to that CTE, so Joker unlock. And I'm going to call that Joker. And then we have to use on because I did not name it the same as it is in the Joker reference table. Thank you very much. Going through every step in detail like this. I like explaining the nitty-gritty of this because it really isn't that hard when you put all the pieces together or all the napkins. Haha, threw that in there. You just have to know how to do it, take it step by step, and you'll be able to translate this into other things as well. This is a fun part of what I like to do at work. Is like figure out little things like this that people haven't thought of or people haven't done before. And with BigQuery in particular, which is what we're using, it does use arrays, which some other databases do not. And so it is something very particular about BigQuery that a lot of people get scared about or might not know how to use. Like honestly, when I started my job where I started learning BigQuery, I was terrified of arrays. And there's a lot of things that you can do incorrectly with arrays, but as long as you like take it step by step, take it like one step in the process to make sure your output is what you expect, you're not duplicating any data, the grain is what you expect. I really enjoy showing how to do all of this. So we're going to join on our Joker name from our reference table to our Joker unlocked Jokers in our Joker unlock CTE. And I'm going to do the same thing where I'm actually going to bring this over to make it a little bit easier. You can reuse SQL, that's the great thing. So our ref.joker name is the same, so that's going to give us our total jokers. And then we can say jokers unlocked and have our unlocked jokers to count how many we've unlocked. So I'm going to make this look, well, might be a little bit harder to read now. Let me undo that. Sometimes it makes it easier to read, sometimes it does not. I'm going to run this and you'll notice something and then we will fix that. So we have 150 total jokers and we've unlocked 25 of those. Now, for those of you who play Balatro, does that make sense? You always got to think about the business context or what is common sense when you're getting these outputs. Anything weird about this? And if you don't know, that's okay. If we look at I'm going to go to our Joker reference. So we have 150 Jokers. We're looking at which ones we've unlocked. Now, there are a bunch that are available from the start, so we don't want to count those as ones that we need to unlock. And that's okay that you don't know. That's all part of this process. So the ones that have available from the start within their text are the ones that we want to exclude. And so we are going to have to do a little bit more funkiness to make sure that we got this right. So in our where clause where we put any of the filters we need. We're going to say in our reference table, our Joker unlock, that's the requirements to unlock. We're going to say that that's not like, and then in our string, same thing as before, put percent signs at the start and the end. So saying it's okay if there's text before and after, as long as it contains the string that I'm looking for. And we're going to put available from start. I'm not even going to put the period that's in there. And I'm also going to put this in lowercase as well, because even though I just looked at that spreadsheet 10 seconds ago, I don't remember what was capitalized. So this way, it makes sure you're comparing all lowercase to all lowercase, so it doesn't say, oh, there's not a match because I don't have something in the same case. So if we do that, that takes our total jokers that we need to unlock down to 45, and we've unlocked 25 of them. So that is a good way of being able to say, you know what? I have a list of ones that I need to unlock. I don't know which ones I still have left. So we can even take this further. I'm going to create the same query in here and take out those extra spaces, give a little more room. Instead of counting, I'm going to say, bring back the ref.jokername and the ref.jokerUnlock, which is the unlock condition for all jokers you need to unlock. And so this should bring back 45 rows, and it'll have all the information on all the ones you want to unlock. But we just saw over here, we already unlocked 25, so I really want to know the 20 that are left. So we can say, and our joker from our unlock CTE unlocked jokers is null. So because we're doing a left join, if there is not a match, so if we haven't unlocked it, we're not going to have that joker listed in here. So when you join them together, it's going to say, okay, so this is null. That means there wasn't a match. Your reference table on the left is the one that you have every single row for. And then your unlock is only going to have the ones that match. So we should have 20 that come back. And obviously we have our legendary jokers at the top, which I guess technically unlocking is finding a soul card, which we haven't found yet. Mr. Bones, lose 5 runs. We haven't done that yet. Golden ticket, play a 5-card hand that contains only gold cards. So this can help me if I want to start trying to get completionist, where I find every single item, know what I need to do to unlock the rest of my jokers so that I can buy them. Lots of fun, right? All from this data set that we're building. As long as you just start playing around, start learning the SQL to be able to find those insights. Let me take a sip of water. Gotta hydrate. All right, so we looked at our Wheel of Fortune odds, we looked at our jokers that we've bought, jokers that we've unlocked, and found out the requirements for unlocking the rest of them. So I do think that is a lot of interesting, complicated SQL. So we'll end that part today and then move on to the mod. You got Mr. Bones a while ago. You die a lot, by the way. That's okay. I the only reason I haven't died a lot on this stream is because I do play on my phone a lot. And I have built up a lot of knowledge about the game. So you are still learning. And you have started winning a lot too. So don't worry about that at all. I think in our next loss, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we just need one more loss to get Mr. Bones. I've only played 13 games so far, so it's not a big sample. So um, we'll get Mr. Bones very soon. Believe me, probably sometime next week. Good to see you, Cats. I'm really glad that you could be here for this. And let's see. So we've done a lot of SQL, done a lot of complicated stuff. So let me show you the progress I've made on my mod this week. I'm going to switch over. And let's see. I think I'll show you all the code first and then show you an example to see the output. So last time I went over, we have our init file that basically loads all the different parts of our tracker. We have our Jimbo's data, which is the main function of our mod, which captures the run start and run end info all into a nice little CSV, one for the start and one for the end. So the start run info, we have our user profile. So we've been using test to test this out, our seed, our stake, and what deck we're playing. And that gets exported along with the timestamp that you start the game. And at the end of the game, we have what time you ended the game, whether you won or lost, your best hand, how many cards you played, a lot of the stuff that shows up when the end game screen pops up. So I started working on my Joker tracker, and it's still a work in progress, so please know that. I am just starting to learn Lua. It is very different than what I'm used to, so just know that. Have some patience with me as I go through this. I'm not going to be able to explain every single thing, but I can go through the basic functions. So up here, you have a lot of what you just basically need to start your counters or sets of data with nothing so you can grow them. We have all of our utilities to get the file name and structure where we want to be saving it, just like we did previously. I'm getting the same run ID information so that I can export what I'm using as the run ID, which is your profile, your seed, your deck, and your stake, to be able to join all these, what will end up being tables together. And so you can say, okay, this run start information, you can look at it with this run end information and your Joker information. You can join all of those together to figure out what actually comes from the same game. And then right now we have writing our Joker information to a CSV. And so we have that run ID, which is what you can use to join those tables together. We have our run Joker ID, which for new Jokers is going to be the consecutive integer of Joker. And I'll actually show you something interesting about that in a second when I go through all of this. When it was first available, when it was last available, and because I don't want to be modifying the output, if I buy it, first available will be populated, last available will be null. And if I sell it, first available will be null, last available will be populated. I'm still working on getting kind of that information together. Joker and run tells you the distinct Joker number within your run. So you have 1, 2, 3. Joker name, how you got the Joker, where you got the Joker. If it has a sticker or addition, it includes that. The cost, which when you're buying is how much it costs to buy it. when you're selling is how much it costs to sell it, or how much money you get back when you sell it. And selling effect, which is blank for now because I'm still working on that. So like double tag, you get a free double tag. What are some of the other ones? Luchador, you disable the boss blind, all of that. And a timestamp for when it happens. This is just to get the right sticker information. It's under your Joker dot ability dot whatever that sticker is. And so I'm creating a string to return that information for. And then our states tell us kind of where we're getting this information. Some of these do need to change a little bit. As I'm going through, I was copying, pasting, and they are not all correct, I realized. But like when you're in a shop, it'll tell you that you got the Joker in a shop. If you got it from a buffoon pack, I do believe all booster packs are this 999 because even though I open a buffoon pack, it still would give me that 999, and so I just labeled that as booster. And then you get your key Joker information here that we looked at before. There's just a couple of like keys that you use to be able to find that when you're within a run. And then being able to identify if the previous is not the same as the new version, when it changed and how it changed. And then this is where it actually gets all the information together so that you can write to the CSV. And so this first part is when you actually buy a new Joker or a new Joker is created. This is if a Joker is modified or changed in some capacity. And this is if your Joker is sold or destroyed. Now, there is still a little bit more work to do because it's telling me that if the value goes up from gift card, then it was sold or destroyed. So there's something that I need to connect a little bit better. But it's all about the iterative process of trying to find the right places to grab this information. And I am making good progress. It's just slow and steady. So I hook into the start of the run just in case I'm in a challenge and I have Jokers that you start off the bat with. So you get your run information anyways at the start of the run. You take a snapshot of the Jokers that are there, and then you update your Joker tracker. Commenting out some of the stuff that I'm not quite ready for yet, but then getting into some of our Joker actions. And I tried separating out sell card and remove from deck as sold or destroyed, and I was still getting back destroyed for everything, so I do think that this remove from deck happens when you sell a card as well. So I just need to find the right place to make sure that works. So let me show you, and then we can go through some of the data that it produces. So I'm just going to bring this into my terminal. Start up Balatro, and we'll play really just like 1 or 2 rounds really quickly so you all can see the information that it outputs for this game. So I'm in my testing profile, not my NapKim math. So I'll select our small blind. I'm just gonna get rid of a bunch of these to try and get something high value. Let's see. Okay, we have a full house, and that'll get us out of this in one hand. Have a little bit of money. I'm gonna laugh if no Jokers are in the shop. All right, we at least have a buffoon pack. So I can open up our buffoon pack, and not really ones that I want to show for this. So I'm going to get our, I don't even know how to say that, I'm not even going to try, our Joker that makes all of our cards act like face cards. And I'm going to go in here. Gonna, oh, I have a flush. I'll go ahead and play that. And let's see, we have a full house. We'll try to get to one more shop and then die purposefully. All right, so we have our superposition here. So you know what? I'm not feeling this card. I'm going to go ahead and sell it. Then get our superposition. Let me re-roll. Maybe we have, okay, Wily Joker. Wily. That's a good word. And then we'll go into the hook. Oh, let's see. I have a 2-pair here. Go ahead and play that. You know what? I'm not feeling superposition. Go ahead and sell that. And play a pair. I'm trying to lose, by the way, so we'll just play. Pair won't get us a win, so womp womp. Okay, so if we go to our main menu, we see that we're in our test profile. And then I'm going to close that out, minimize that. Just like before, I did test this out a little bit more this morning, so there is more than one row in here. This is the stake we just played. Our seed, NDW, our stake, our deck, and then our start time was about 3 minutes ago. Our run end information, like we've seen before, I have my run ID, my end time, which was about a minute ago. I lost, womp womp, knew that was going to happen. 360 best hand, 24 cards played, 17 discarded, 3 purchased, 1 reroll, 0 new collection. Furthest ante was 1, furthest round was 3, and we lost to the hook. So that is working as expected too, where we actually get the boss blind if we lost to a boss blind. And then the fun part is the jokers. And I told you I was testing it out this morning, so I'm going to scroll down so it's just the ones from this run. So we have our run ID, our run Joker ID, which is just our run ID with a consecutive integer for each action. So every time you buy, sell, or destroy a Joker, that number will go up by 1. Then we have the ante and the round, and then where the action occurred. So we bought our face card Joker in our booster pack in our ante 1 round 1 shop. We sold it in our ante 1 round 2 shop and purchased superposition and Wily Joker there. And then when we got into our played round, our ante 1 round 3 played round, when we were playing a hand, we sold our superposition. And you can see the Joker name, add, add, for the times it was added, sold or destroyed for when we sold it. And our Joker and run tells us this one was our first Joker. We don't have that increase for our, when we sell it, we get a 2 for superposition and 3 for Wily Joker. So that only populates if there's a new Joker. We have our change cause. They were all either booster or shop, except for this last one, which was played round. None of them had a sticker. None of them had an addition. And then you can see this first one, it was $5 to buy it, $2 to sell it. So you will have that difference. Right now, selling effect is none for everything, and then the timestamp when the action occurred. So that is kind of the straightforward what was happening. Now, I do want to take you to, I want to show you all of this, but it's a little bit easier to read in a Google Sheet. So I did put that in a Google Sheet to make it a little bit easier to read. And so I kind of want to show you kind of the steps that I took to get there. So the first one that I tried We had our Joker first available, last available. This was to test the Joker edition and the cost. So I did end up finding a holographic Joker. It was Hack, and I actually got it in the shop for $9, sold it for $4. So this I was testing properly. Everything looked like it was working as intended. Then I started getting into my next one, and I was like, okay, I'm going to test some weird scenarios here. So I got Walkie Talkie, sold Walkie Talkie, then got Even Steven and Crazy Joker. And then I noticed that my Joker and Run didn't increase to 2 for Even Steven. And their foil, Even Steven was foil, so that was working properly. Went into Run 3, and I was like, okay, I tried something, and same thing happened, didn't work. That's all what iteration is, so don't worry about that at all. And Mad Joker died because I had Madness, and that's why I have my Joker last available as unknown, and that's something that I'm looking into as well. I had Madness pop up. He destroyed Mad Joker. Madness destroyed Mad Joker. I guess they were both mad at each other. And so it's saying, I don't know where this actually happened. So I just need to look into that state to see what it's saying is where that happened. Trying to connect, okay, Mad Joker actually got destroyed because of Madness is kind of one of the next steps that I'm going to be taking with these Joker trackers. And now this is where it gets going to have a lot of data, and I'll walk you kind of through why. I tried out something and it didn't work for our Joker and Run, and I also had Egg and Gift Card that Egg starts increasing its value, as we know, and it started tracking that kind of weird. And then I ended up selling it, got gift card, and then it started saying like, oh, all these actually changed, so I'm going to track that as well. But it wasn't really working how I intended it, so that was not expected. Selling effect, I had Diet Cola, but I didn't have anything in the code, so even though I have that as red, that's just something that my business context, I know that I need to put the selling effect of Diet Cola in there. And then we got Riff Raff. This was like a run that was perfect for uh, QA testing because a bunch of things just didn't work. Um, and then we had Unknown because Even Steven and Splash were created from Riff Raff. And so it was saying, oh, I don't actually know where that happened. So that's something that I'm going to be looking into as well to kind of make it a little bit better. But I did play around with gift card and golden joker. Golden joker's selling value increased because of gift card, and when I sold it, it did have the correct value. So that was a win. Now, finally, when I got into the fifth one that I looked at, I ended up fixing the Joker and Run, which was what I wanted. Yes, small wins. That is one of my small wins. But then I actually got a Judgment Turret and created Joker Stencil. Because I got Judgment in a booster pack, it said that I got Joker Stencil from a booster pack instead of Judgment. So that's also a good way to test to make sure things are working as intended. I thought that the state could be something along the lines of working with that turret, but obviously not. It technically was in a booster pack where this happened, so I might need to think about the best way of dealing with that in the code as well. But that is kind of where I'm at with this. Obviously iterative, but a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot. It all is in my GitLab, along with all the code that we've been looking at every week. Napkins will have some of those like base code that we're looking at in SQL that is not specific to Balatro, and I have a lot of the documentation in there. Balatro will have all of our creating data and querying data. So like the most common tags, a couple of the different queries that we've written to find out more information on that. And then within Jimbo's data, we have the mod information. And so I put all that information in here. Make sure that if you want to test it out, which would be awesome, that you have the manifest, init.lua, Jimbo's data.lua, and jokertracker.lua all within Jimbo's data folder in your mods folder. If, say, you didn't want to use the Joker tracker, but just the Jimbo's data to get like the run start and run end, you would, and don't worry, this is not hard at all, you would just go into the one that you don't want to do and comment it out by doing 2 dashes. So like I did start a round tracker too. It's not ready to show, it's not ready to work. And so I can still have it here to the side and it's not going to pick it up unless it's in here, not as a comment. So small wins, a lot of fun, a lot of learning, but we're doing it. And hopefully all the work that I'm putting in to automate all of this will save me a ton of time during the week to be able to focus on some of those other things that I want to do with this. So, baby steps, we're getting there. And I do think that this will be super useful, and at least for me, hopefully it'll be useful for everyone else as well. And the goal is not to just export the data, but it's also to, once we get that data, be able to query it, analyze it, and produce some insights from it. So round 2 will probably be some sort of either dashboard or collab notebook where we can run some Python to create some quick visuals. And then potentially round 3, which maybe far off in the future, would be some type of predictive analytics to figure out mid-run some things that could happen. So I really appreciate you all being here. I do think that is it for me today. If is IntelliGame streaming? I was going to raid into his stream if he was. Thank you very much for being here. He is not. So if you have any suggestions for raids, please let me know. Otherwise, we will call it. Actually, Gamer Gramp was in IntelliGames last week. Scholarly Frog, he's great. Okay, let's raid into Scholarly Frog, and I'm going to see if I can end my YouTube stream and then end my Twitch after while we raid. So I'm gonna try that out.